Hello to my weebs and my geeks and my LGBTQIA peeps, to my shifters and my daydream believers. Welcome back to my channel. It's October. Woo! My English teacher, every Friday, he goes like, oh wait, what is it? It's like, woo! And then we all have to do it. Interesting. It's fun though. But that's kind of how I'm feeling today. I'm like, whoa! Let's go! I love Quicksilver and I love this author. It's a beautiful mix. Woo! I was like, hey, can I read your fanfiction? They were like, of course, I'm honored. I'm like, no, I'm honored. Thank you so much. And then they're like, okay. So they were like, just tell me when you post it so I can watch it. I was like, all right. So if you are here, author, thank you so much for letting me read this. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so good. And make sure to drop them a follow. The link to this fanfiction is in the description below, as well as the music and any sound effects. I don't think there'll be sound effects in this one, but if there is any, then they're in the description below. Again, drop this author a follow because they deserve it. They're amazing, and it's so good. And part 2, guys, part 2 to this one is so good. It got me all in my, like, it's so sweet. It's gonna give me a cavity. That's how sweet it is. All right. I'm hyping it up, so let me just show you how good it is. And if I do not portray the story properly, just stop the video, click the link, and read it yourself, because that's how good it is, okay? All right. I hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you at the end of the video, and yeah, that's all I got. All right, let's go. Let's get into it. Stop talking, just start reading. Oh my god, Peter, you can't just give out practically free brioche buns! Your voice rang out crystal clear in the now empty grocery store. You fiddled with your shirt, not meaning for the outburst to be quite so loud. It was about 9 p.m. and Peter was supposed to finish his shift soon. The fluorescent lights emphasized your tired face quite clearly when you looked at your reflection in the window. Peter had been startled at your outburst, as he hadn't noticed you were upset. To be fair, you were kinda hiding in an aisle. Rubbing your eyes preemptively, you tried your best not to scowl as you walked towards him. Wasn't it really your fault that you had never told Peter how much you liked him? That although you had been friends since you were in middle school, it was like a constant relationship between the two of you. Even when Peter had moved away for a while outside of Westview, you had been the one he called the most. Were you really just his friend? Except now you were fairly sure that you had imagined the whole mutual infatuation between friends thing. Ever since Peter had come back to Westview, the silver-haired man had been the talk of the town. You were not one to be jealous of your friend, as it was totally acceptable to be the center of attention when he was gone for so long. And just like the old days, you two were attached at the hip. Well, usually when Peter was not with his actual twin Wanda. But nevertheless, you guys hung out whenever you could, constantly heading to the movies or the local arcade, or just hanging out at his house. It had been a breathless, brisk, lively month, but Peter always liked to move fast. He wanted to know everything you had been up to without him. You didn't meet anyone while I was gone, right? Peter had said when you were making pizza together last week. He chopped up some spinach with his nimble hands, not looking at you, but waiting for an answer. Peter, please, like I could ever bother meeting someone who didn't immediately remember you. You smiled fondly, thinking of how your friendship had basically hindered any romantic notions in your life. But you didn't really mind that. That's my girl, you can't forget. You're too good for anyone, Peter said, ruffling your hair. You flushed and ducked away, continuing to put toppings on the pizza as Peter laughed at your reaction. At the time, you had been sure that Peter did not have any romantic feelings for you. He had always said that you were too good for him, as a way to tell people that you were not in a relationship. But that never bothered you. Were you not still his friend? Was it not kind that Peter thought so highly of you? And you were pleased to just be around him in any capacity, even if you had to swallow your feelings. But later that week, some of the women had noticed Peter was back. It didn't really strike him as anything to worry about, especially because he didn't really know them. They would whisper as you guys walked through town square, and they would blush if you happened to talk to them. But you knew that they still wouldn't know him like you did. You didn't think Peter would ever entertain one of them even slightly. Although now, you were starting to regret thinking that he wouldn't. I mean, why wouldn't he? He's a very attractive man. He knows how to tease, but he's a really good person at heart. Why wouldn't he find one of those women attractive? At least they were open about it. Unlike me. And he knows how to really listen. He hears everything I say. Oh God. When did I become so in love with him? As you had gone in to get groceries late at night, you waved at him. And he had grinned one of his trademark smiles at you. You were the only person in so far. But then you had noticed one of the more persistent women had come through the door and straight up to Peter. Hey. The woman had a rather sultry look on her face, with very large eyes and perfectly coiffed blonde hair. Her voice was raspy, but it had a nice friendly cadence, and she was wearing a large fluffy white coat. Oh, hey there, late night adventure, Peter had said, in his usual friendly but sardonic tone. You'd mentally smacked your face, wishing you hadn't been here to witness this. Hiding behind the grocery-themed magazines, you could see that Peter looked like his usual self, but you could feel yourself getting annoyed. Why? It's not my business if he wants to talk to people. He's literally at his job, Dreamer. Just chill out. Who cares if that woman is totally gorgeous? Oh no. The woman smiled at him broadly, hoping to maybe get to know him further. I'm Emma Frost. I was hoping to get some of the buns behind you. And your name. She giggled and you groaned under your breath. Not my business. Not my business. Not my business. Just ignore it. Go get the yogurt you were looking for. But you couldn't help yourself. As you looked up, you noticed Peter had a smile on his face. Was it a customer service type smile? Or it kind of looked like the small surprise smile that you thought Peter only had for you. Unless you were imagining things. Either way, it's none of your business because as far as you were concerned, you're just friends. And you wouldn't want to come in between him and his happiness. I'm Peter, you heard him say, not really sure what to make of his tone. Did he sound more friendly? I don't think I've seen you around before. Your heart dropped, wondering why Peter would notice this woman. Was it time for you to stop talking to him? When he slowly but surely got closer to a new girlfriend? Or even just a potential one? This had never happened before. You had never been in his way before. Oh yeah, I just moved here for the small town feeling, you know? I was rather tired of living out in the city. I needed some time away from all that. Emma replied, looking all cute and sad, which was just perfect, wasn't it? One thing you knew about Peter was that he still cared about people, even when he acted like an asshole. And you weren't sure if you could handle seeing him talk to this woman like that. You moved away where they weren't in your line of vision. Oh, I hear you. Moving is tough. I just came back to my hometown after being gone for a few years. Hopefully you settled in better than I did over here. Peter laughed and you tried really hard to just tune it out. You could feel a lump in your throat, but you weren't sure why. Why did they already seem like they have stuff in common? Hey, you can have these on a discount since you're new, Peter suddenly said as he was doing cashier duties. I know what it's like when you're trying to get everything together, so how about half off on these brioche buns? You looked up again, immediately feeling a little sick. Emma giggled in surprise. That is awfully kind of you, but sure. No doubt she thought he was hitting on her. You weren't too sure. She leaned in awfully close to the point where you could see Peter's face being obscured by her head and said, "Could I also get your number? I'm ever so lonely here, you know. I don't have a single friend yet, and it's absolutely difficult to talk to anyone with all their little circles. You're the first man who actually bothered talking to me so far, and you're quite adorable." To your horror, Peter laughed and scrawled something on a sticky note, which he handed to the woman as she began to leave. "It was very nice to meet you, Peter." And with that, she was gone. Not even 2 minutes later, you had your outburst about the brioche buns, which you had meant to say when you got up to him, but you got ahead of yourself. And now, you were standing in front of Peter, trying to find something to say, but lacking the ability to confront him. He stared at you, unsure of why you cared so much about the bread. The silence was awkward. Why did you blow up about bread? Or was it that a total supermodel of a woman had the capability of telling Peter he was adorable, but after 15 years of friendship, you couldn't? It was already painfully humiliating that you had liked him as much as you did, knowing that he only saw you as a good friend, but you weren't sure if you could continue being his friend if he was able to just move on, and you could not. He just didn't prioritize you in the same way. Feeling embarrassed, wondering what gave you the entitlement to even care so much about what Peter did with other women, you began to walk away quickly, forgetting who you were talking to. "Dreamer? Hey, don't walk away, you big doofus. What's wrong?" Peter jumped the counter and grabbed your arm, concern all over his face. You were unable to voice your increasingly loud doubts from the past week, but Peter knew you better than anyone. You tried to twist your arm away, not wanting to bring up the current predicament, the conversation that you had witnessed that had all the makings of a romance in a movie. You couldn't admit being possessive of your best friend. It was totally wrong. You didn't own him. "Are you actually mad about the brioche buns? You know I like to give away the old ones for a bit less, right?" Peter resumed, as you were just standing there like an easily disposable napkin in his hand. "No, I don't care about the brioche buns. I care that that woman was clearly coming on to you." "And I didn't think that was anything. Why would you care?" Peter countered. You looked down, not sure if you could vocalize this. "Dreamer, come on, spit it out. Don't make me force you. You're clearly all jostled about something." You were totally responding back to her. You were laughing and relating and talking, and you gave her a discount, and you gave her your number. So what? She's new. I was just letting her have some help. Help? So does help involve being called cute? You blurted out, not realizing how that would sound. Peter paused. Why would you care about him being called cute? You had always been his coolest friend, willing to let him try anything, including that time where he jumped from the roof of his house to his backyard where you were waiting. He had always been so energetic, but somehow easy to talk to. And yet, he could not help but feel there was something you wouldn't tell him. Just this one time, he could tell you were being silent for a totally different reason than he was used to. The first couple of times Peter had tried to flirt with you, you had simply laughed and continued talking about the newest Star Wars film, or about this book you were reading that you wanted him to read, or about how people had been treating you at your job. He could see that you were an incredibly kind person because you seemed to let customers talk to you for hours. You would let him ramble on for hours about nothing important in the slightest, if not just to see him talk. He knew that you liked seeing him happy, but you were never particularly open about how strongly you felt for him, so he did his best to drop it. But he would be lying if he had said he had never thought about you like that. In fact, he spent most of his time wondering if you would ever love him back. The way he earnestly would ask you to hang out in hopes that the slight pursuit would change your mind. He wouldn't do this if it bothered you, but it didn't seem to. When you were both walking down a street together, he tried to be content with the fact that you were still his best friend and you cared for him so much. You had told him just that several times. So why did you care about Emma and her uninvited presence? Peter could not care less about a random woman he had never met before deciding to schmooze her way over to him. She was basically a jar of pickles on aisle 13, while you were the coveted box of popsicles in the coolest freezer. As in, he could see through Emma quite clearly, but he wanted to know so much more about you. Peter realized he had been lost in thought, and you were giving him more and more of a nervous look. So why do you care about that? Peter replied after a minute. You were getting scared that he was about to tell you that he might like that woman. I don't know. I was trying so hard to just be nice, but I couldn't let it go, you stammered. You knew any second now, you were going to give it away that you loved him, and he was going to tell you, as you already knew, that you were just friends. Best friends, but that's all. Nice to who? The wannabe supermodel who just came in? Peter retaliated. You shook your head, not sure how to continue. Oh, you mean me? But you're already so nice to me, Dreamer. What the hell are you worrying about? You were silent. Oh my god, you're totally jealous! Do you have a crush on me? Peter asked, pulling you up by the shoulders so he could get a good look at your face. You gulped, feeling a little more confident after Peter dissed that woman. I did feel really jealous, and I know it's a really shitty thing for your best friend to say that, but I do. I felt like I was going to be sick. I can't tell you how long I've really liked you, but I know you don't feel the same way, and that's why you always tend to downplay our relationship to other people. But it's not fair, Peter. It's not fair to you that I couldn't control my own emotions. I thought I was a better friend, and I'm not. Peter stared at you. Did you really just say that? And you never noticed that he was always trying his best to be there for you because you never even made a slight indication of your now mutual feelings? He had spent literally all this time flirting and trying his best to tell you how amazing you are. He smiled, one of his absolutely overjoyed smiles when he was really excited. He pulled you into a really tight hug and you squeaked. Peter? What are you doing? I'm hugging you because you're a fucking idiot. What? You pushed him aside. What are you talking about? I've loved you way longer than that, you dunce. I've spent so much time trying to tell you that. I always tell you how pretty and nice you are, and how you're just too good for people. Always thought I was asking you for too much, and so I never outright said anything. You turned a bright red. So this whole time, while you plagued and whined and worried, Peter had been going through exactly the same thing? Why didn't you tell me? You fake strangled Peter, laughing as he pretended to die. Why didn't you tell me? I thought I made it fairly obvious every time I asked you if you were seeing anyone, Peter retorted, ruffling your head again. God, Dreamer, the time we wasted just because you were too stupid to speak up. You know, we could have been doing something else. Oh my god, straight to the dirty thoughts, huh? Pervert. And what do you mean I'm stupid? You're just as stupid for thinking I didn't like you too. I mean, I would have never thought you did, Peter said, lost in thought again. That's why I always said you were too good for anyone. Because that's really how I felt. I know you're too good for me. I'm not. Look at us now. We're both two people who have been living the same life for a while. I think that would make us totally perfect for each other. He looked into his eyes carefully, seeing the same fondness that you were probably emitting through your own. Peter paused again and started laughing. He was laughing so hard his body shook, and he was lowering himself to the ground. What? What? I can't believe... He wheezed again, turning red and trying not to laugh as much. I can't believe all it took was some flouncy rich blonde chick to come in and try the same line she probably tried on 10 different guys for you to get jealous and confess. At this point, Peter was howling on the ground of the aisle. You glowered at him and shoved him as he continued to wheeze. Shut up! I didn't think you were going to give her a discount and your number. What was that all about? You sat next to him. I told you already. Those were day-old buns, Peter suddenly snickered. That wasn't my number either. I thought she had to be taken down a notch, so I gave her the Westview Computational Services number. She probably needed help finding a job anyway. Peter! Really? If that's how you respond to a woman flirting with you, then maybe that's why I didn't say anything till now. You admonished him. Aw, come on. You love that I basically flipped her off. I mean, in hindsight, now I feel like I shouldn't have worried. You leaned your head on Peter's shoulder as he sat against the shelves. Yeah, I know. I'm an asshole. Peter snorted. But you love it. Even willing to get jealous over someone who clearly isn't my type. What, were you losing it today or something? Okay. I might have been blind in my rage. But who isn't? I mean, if I'm being honest, if some blonde dude was trying to get into your pants, I probably would have sped-walked him to the moon. Peter! What? I thought we were allowed to be jealous. He held your hand for a bit. That makes us perfect for each other. He came a little bit closer. And that means I'm allowed to do this now. After 15 years of mutual pining, it was safe to say that when Peter leaned in and kissed you, it was exactly as you had imagined. He was very careful as to not bang your head against the shelf full of snacks next to you. He gripped your waist and pulled you in more, pressing against you. He stroked your hair, being impossibly gentle, but passionate at the same time. He pulls away, eyes going a million miles a minute. Peter had the absolute dorkiest grin on his face, one that you couldn't help replicating on your own, and he sighed and kissed your forehead. Really? Why couldn't you have told me earlier? I wanted to do that for years. I don't even care that we're still at my job right now. And he pulled you in again for another kiss. Super cute. Absolutely love it. I would love to do an outro, but I'm in a big rush. Got a birthday party to get to, so I have to go. But thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you in the second one. The second one is my favorite one, so I'm so excited to do that one. I'm sorry this one took 2 weeks to make, but it's been a crazy ride, guys. Being in a play, that's crazy. The schedule is crazy, but I'll be sure to try to get this one out faster, but if I can, I apologize again. Please make sure to go check out the author because we love authors in this community, and I have to go. So bye, guys. Bye!